All right, everyone. Give me 1 second here. We're going to be getting set up in just a second here. Just running a little bit late today. And let's see what we got going on. All right, cool. All right, so welcome to another live stock picks. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Adley Telford. I am the creator of the course, Stock Trading Simple Beginner Guide, now available on Udemy. You don't have to sign up for my course in order to be a part of this community or to watch these videos, but these videos are really intended for my students. So this way I can show them how I pick my stocks. They can ask any questions in regards to any stocks that they may have. Today is just going to be a little bit of a little bit different. This is going to be our third week doing live stock picks. So I've added a couple new features here to the live stream. So the first thing that we're going to do is what we normally do is we're going to go ahead and find out, is tomorrow a good day to um, be let's see here, is tomorrow a good day for us to be trading stocks? So as usual, we always come over here to our event calendar on investing.com. I'm a little bit off. Today is Monday, coming out of the weekend, so I got to get back into the rhythm. So the first thing we're going to be doing is going over to our event calendar here, our economic calendar here. Today, we can see that we only had one 3-star piece of information come out. Mondays are typically not really a busy day when it comes down to trading. It's kind of like everybody's coming out of the weekend, digesting any news that came out, and we're trying to figure out, what's happening, what's going on. So I typically don't trade on a Monday. I enter my trades Tuesday evening and try to be out of them by Friday, especially, like I said, with this particular administration. There's always something happening, always some type of news coming out that's affecting the stock market, right? So let's see what's happening tomorrow. So first thing that's happening tomorrow is at 9:30, we have the Fed chair that will be speaking. All right. And with the Fed chair speaking, that is going to have a huge impact on the market. Well, I'm going to say that could have a huge impact on the market. So the Fed's going to be speaking at 9:30. I typically say when this happens, you just don't want to trade at all because and that's also another reason why the market really wasn't moving today as well, because everybody knows that the Fed is going to be speaking tomorrow. And depending on what he says, he's going to let us know if he's bullish on the economy or if he's bearish on the economy. Also, if he's intending on lowering the interest rates or not. So that's kind of like what this is all about right here. So I wouldn't necessarily trade tomorrow until after the Fed speak and maybe an hour after that. But I'll be watching that very closely. But everything else after that, really, I can tell you right here, all this information as far as job openings and everything else like that. He's going to be covering all of that information. And then we do have the Fed again. That's going to be speaking for Atlanta at about 1 o'clock, and then another Fed, and then we have another piece of information coming out here with crude oil at about 4:30. So tomorrow's going to be a pretty busy day. But what I'm really looking forward to is what uh, Chairman Powell says in regards to lowering interest rates, especially because the president expressed his unhappiness with the Fed chair, and there's more than likely he will not be reelected or kept in position at the end of the year. So we're going to see how the market reacts to that. So with that being said, the next step that we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over to FinViz. We will trade tomorrow, but it's going to give us a clear indication of what's happening with the market, and then we'll go from there. So the next step that we have is we're going to be going over to our screens, our stock screener. And over here with the stock screener, first thing we do is go into the screener on FinViz. And we're going to change it up just a little bit this time around because some of the people that have taken the course, they've expressed to me that they're not finding as many trades, as they normally would. well, they're not finding as many trades because typically I would say, we would do a 10 to 50, which is here, and then we would do an average volume. And as you can see, for those of you who haven't taken this course before, I've been watching my live before. Finviz is a great stock screener. I absolutely love it. I can't stop talking about it. And here you can see right now we have a total of about 10,193 stocks, right? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to filter it down to stocks that fit a particular criteria for us. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is pricing. And right here, when we do the pricing, we're going to bring the pricing down from to 10 to 50. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're trading like we're a beginner trader. We have a $500 to $300 account balance. So we're trying to find stocks that we can get a good quantity of stocks for the amount of money that we have, right? But we also want to make sure that there is movement as well within the market. So here with our average volume, we typically go over 2 million, right? But what I'm going to be doing for those of you who are looking for trades that are moving, but they're also very profitable, but at a very cheap price. What we're going to do is I'm going to leave that blank for right now, and we're going to just go to technical, and we're going to go and say, you know what, we want ATR of over $1, right? So what we basically did was we said, hey, we want to look at stocks between the price of $10 and $50, and we want stocks that move up or down in any direction, an average of $1 or more every day on a daily basis. And from 10,000 stocks, that brings us down to 680 stocks. That's still a good amount that's still too many stocks to look at. So here we can go back and then we can filter that back down a little bit more. And we can say, you know what? Let's see how many stocks we will get if we say we want to look at those stocks that actually have an average of 2 million. They sell more than 2 million shares of stocks on a daily basis. So what that does, that brings us down to 150, 151 stocks. So we have a good pool of stocks here to pick from, right? We have a really good pool of stocks to pick from with this price range. Is because we bought our ATR, which we normally have it at $2. We brought it down to $1. So we're saying, hey, if I buy the stock, I want it to at least move up a minimum of $1 every day, move up or down a minimum of $1 every day, right? For the past 14 days. If we were to increase that to 150, that would bring us on average for the amount of stocks, it bring us down to $150. Brings us from 150 stocks to a total of 80 stocks. But I just want to see, you know, kind of right here with $1 minimum of $1 movement. I say that because if you're starting off if you're new to trading, you may not want a stock that's moving too rapidly. Meaning, with this ATR, and let's filter this real quick so you guys can understand what I'm talking about here. For those of you who haven't taken the course, let's go to technical, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to filter our ATR, right? And we're going to filter this ATR from highest to lowest. So the lowest right now is $1, and the highest is $9, right? So let's say we bought this stock right here bought this stock. The price of the stock is $17, right? And on average for the past 14 days, RGC, it has moved up or down at least $9.90. If you're a new trader and you may not have that much risk tolerance, what happens is you bought this stock for $17, and it goes down $9 the first day. Then the next day it goes up. And then the next day it goes down, or the next day it goes up again. But if it goes down the first day, $9, if you invested, let's say here, so what is this? 1704, right? So let's say the price of the stock is 1704, right? And we have right here, basically, we have we can buy 21 we can buy 21 we can buy 29 stocks for that price, and it brings it up to $490, because we're basically saying we have a $500 account, right? And our ATR is let's see here, what is our ATR here? Our ATR here is $9.90, right? So now we say our ATR is $9.90. So what that means is we have $500 in our account. And the stock price is $17.04. So we're able to buy 29 stocks, and we spend a total of $494. We have an ATR of $9.90. So that means our possible gain for the day, right? Means our $500 stock, it can go up a minimum, it can go up about $287.10, but it can also come down about $200.87 in one day, right? And so, and that's just so it's kind of like that's a lot of money that you can make, but that's also a lot of money that you can lose as well. So that's why I know, like with some of you guys, I put the ATR at $1 because you may not be able to handle seeing your account drop this much in one day, right? And for you to make this, the stock just needs to move from $17.04 to $18.76. There just needs to be a $1.70 movement. Okay, if there's a $1.72 movement, this is if there's a you can actually hit a $50 profit, which is, I'm sorry, I just set this one up. So right here, our goal is to make $50 off every $500. That's 10%, right? Our goal is to make 10% return on our investment. So we invest about 500, we're looking to make $50. So to make the $50, the stock just needs to go up $1.72. That's at $18.76. But we're not looking at this right now, okay? The yellow and the blue, we're not going to look at that. But this is what we could possibly make or lose if it went up, this ATR, $9.90, or if it went down, we're going to lose that amount. So this is why I say it's kind of important to understand your ATR. And this is why I may start off I would recommend some of you guys also look at an ATR with a lower threshold, like maybe starting off at $1. All right. So let's go back to our stock screener here. Okay. So with the stock screener right here, we have 151 stocks that we can look at and we can filter through. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here to our overview, and we're going to filter that by price. Right. So we're going to go from the lowest to highest. And I'm going to explain to you guys why we're going to go from lowest to highest when it comes down to this. All right. So you want to look at a couple different things here. First of all, what I would tell you is you want to stay away from your healthcare stocks. You don't want to touch the healthcare stocks. Healthcare stocks are very finicky. If you buy a healthcare stock and they come out with a new medicine, the stock is going to shoot through the roof. But at the same time, if something happens and that medicine is recalled or whatever, that stock is just going to tank. Healthcare stocks only go up or down when they have new medicine that they're releasing. All right. So here let's take a look at this one, USAR. This is the one that popped up on our radar. And let's go over here to technical, and we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to input this into the system just so you guys can kind of understand why this screener is so good. All right, so the price on this particular stock is going to be $10.95. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to put in $10.95. All right, if we have a $500 account balance, we can roughly get 45 stocks at $10.95, and it only costs us $492.75. Right. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to look at our ATR. How much money can we make off this stock? This stock moves up or down in either direction a minimum of $1.35 on a daily basis. So let's go over here and put in $1.35. And here you can see you can buy 45 stocks with your $500 balance. The stock can either go up or down $1.35. So that means in one day you can make a possible profit of $60.75. Okay. So this right here is pretty cool. And this is why I say sometimes you may want to buy one of these. Now, I'll give you a good example. Like, let's take a look at Tesla here. All right. And we're going to finish going through these on TradingView, but I just want to kind of make you understand why I don't go after some of the more expensive stocks. Like some people always ask, like, wouldn't it be better to go after like Tesla or something like that? Let's take a look here. Let me show you. So we have a Tesla stock. We're going to pull that up right now. So we have Tesla stock, which is right now the value is $317.66, right? So we go with $317.66. That's the cost of the stock. If you have a $500 account balance, you can only buy one stock at $317.66. Now, Tesla is an ATR, meaning Tesla goes up or down on average for the past 14 days, $16.90, right? So that's $16.90 that Tesla goes up or down on average. So that means you buy one Tesla stock for $317. That stock on average goes up or down $16.90 a day. So for the day, you can only make $16.90 on a Tesla stock with a $500 balance. Where you can take that same $500 balance, buy your cheapest stock, which is $10. You get 45 stocks. You spend $492. That stock only goes up or down $1.35 a day, but yet you can make $60.75. So this is what I kind of explain in my course. You know, you don't necessarily, just because you get a more expensive or household name stock like Tesla or Apple, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make more money or ROI, return on your investment, on a daily basis. Sometimes it's better just to get a much more simpler stock, a cheaper stock where you can get much more quantities. But this right here is what determines how profitable you can be, the ATR. Okay, and I just set up this Excel sheet today, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit, fix it up, and then afterwards I'll add it into the link later on this week, so you guys be able to download it and be able to use it as well. But let's go back over to Finviz. All right, let's go back here, and we're going to look at, these are the stocks that we were looking at originally, right? And we're going to go over here to TradingView, and we're going to go ahead and see what's happening with these stocks. So the first stock that we're going to look at is going to be, let's go over here. Let's filter these by ATR. Let's go ahead and filter those first. We'll start off with the lower ATRs. Yeah, let's start off with the lower ATRs. SERV. SERV. So let's go here. I'm going to go to TradingView. SERV. All right. And this is, so the first thing that I look at when I do this is I look at the industry. Right over here, we can see it's robotics. It's the industry of robotics. This stock right now, we're going to look at it on a daily time frame. Let's look at it on a daily time frame. This stock right now, it's an upward trend, but it looks like we're about to have a turnaround, right? So we're going to look at the stock. So right now we can see the green lines on top. And by the way, for those of you who have not taken my course or don't understand what you're looking at right now, these lines over here, these are indicators, all right? And these indicators, I show you how to set them up in the course. And we have three main indicators here. We have our moving average, which is when the green line's on top, like you can see here, and the red line's at the bottom, but the green line's pointing up, the red line's at the bottom, and it's also pointing up. You can tell we're in an upward trend. All right. As soon as we have this crossover here, where the green line crosses over, the green line is now on top. The red line is now on top. The green line is now at the bottom. That's what they call the dead cross, and that's when the stock market starts to drop. And once again, as you see, it crosses back over right over here. You see it crosses over with the moving average. Green line's on top pointing up, red line's at the bottom pointing up. We're in an upward trend. Then that's your moving averages. That's the first indicator that we show you how to set up. Next, we show you how to set up your support and your resistance. The blue line is your support, meaning the stock typically comes down. It hits that area, kind of bounces around, stays in that area, but typically it bounces back up. If it breaks through it, then you know you're going to continue falling. And then we have your area of resistance, which are your red lines up here. And your red lines are typically areas when the stock hit it, it typically bounced down. It would eventually break through it, but it's an area that when it hits that area, it typically falls back down. Now, with this, and then the last one is going to be your RSI over here. Okay. Now, I'm looking at this stock, and this is a possible buy. The reason why this is a possible buy, we do have that on top, but here you have this curvature showing that it may be consolidating and it may turn and revert and start dropping again. But the thing about it is we have a dip here, and now we have it rising. We have we're on a daily time frame. So each one of these candles represents a day. So here we can see the last three candles were green, meaning they were going up. Here on our RSI, it's above the 50 mark. All right. So it's kind of hovering right there in the middle, right here on our RSI. So tomorrow, what I'm looking for is a clear break where it kind of breaks up and start pointing back up. Once it starts pointing back up, and as long as the green line here starts to switch direction, kind of point up this way, I'm going to buy it. But for right now, I'm just going to say we can add that to our watch list, because between from here, which the current price is $11.44, to right up here to this area of resistance, that's about $14. So that's like a $3 movement right there. So we can make a good little profit on this. Now, how much money could we make? Let's take a look. Um, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do this detail one with this particular one, but all of the other picks that we have, I'm just going to kind of go through them really quickly. But I just kind of want you to understand, the method behind the madness. So SRE, we can look at this one, and on our daily time frame, we have a ATR of $1. So this one has an ATR of $1. You can see that right over here, $1 time frame, right? So you have a $1 on our ATR. So the price on this one is 11.44. So we have price of ATR $1, and the price is 11.44. So let's go over here. 11.44, right? ATR of $1. So we have the price is 11.44. We can get 43 stocks, and we can spend $491. It goes up with the ATR, means the stock goes up a minimum of $1 up or down. So we can make $43 in one day on trades on this one. We can make a little bit less, or we can lose $43 because it could go up or down in either direction, but it moves up or down in either direction, a minimum of $1. So if you're a brand new trader and your account value is only $500, this is a good stock to buy, because it doesn't move too fast to where you're even if it goes in the opposite direction, you're losing so much money, um, like $200 and $300, like I showed you in an earlier example. So you can sit there and say, well, I'm buying this stock. I know I can go up or down and make $43 a day on average. But our goal really, well, my goal is always to make 10% return on every 500, which is to make, at least $50 for every $500 that I make. If you're doing this on a daily basis, then you're kind of fine with that, right? And you're not spending so much, and you're not putting so much money at risk. Even if it did go in the opposite direction and went against you, you're only looking at about a $43 loss. All right. So let's kind of go back here. And so now you guys can understand like why I did it. Now that's $43. So if it goes up on the average about $1, and I can expect this stock to go up to this area right here, which is this area of resistance, this stock can go up to about $14 before it actually bounced down and in reverse again. But what happens is, you can see right here where it hit the area of resistance, it came back down, it bounced down. And if it goes and tests it again, there's a good chance that they could break through it, especially if, our moving average is pointing in an upward direction with a green line's pointing up, red line's pointing up, and everything is good. And on our RSI, we're above the 50 area. So it's a chance that if it's all that's going in one direction, then it can possibly break through that area of resistance. Okay. So that's the first stock right there. So I would add that stock onto my watch list. I'm going to create another watch list. I have a watch list here, and let's go ahead and add that one onto our watch list to keep an eye on it. All right. And we're just going to keep an eye on it. So that basically means tomorrow morning when the market opens, I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it, because you can see here when the market closed, it was at 11.44. But then after hours, post market, it went up about 5 cents, right, to 11.49. So it looks like it could be going in a good upward trend, but I'll just wait to see what's happening tomorrow. And one of the reasons why I really recommend TradingView is because you see this little lightning here. So if you click on that, it'll tell you right now, okay, stock, boom, pre-markets. So there's no major big news that's happened lately with this stock. So there's nothing crazy happening here. So I'm kind of this is a good stock to add to our watch list. And then if we stroll down over here, we can see, okay, what are they saying? There's a strong buy, right? As far as the technicals, analysts are saying it's a strong buy. And year to end price, the target price is $16.20. Right now, we're only at $11. So this is a good stock to buy. And this is a good stock to buy if you're somebody who's trading, but you're not able to sit there and watch the market on a daily basis, or like I do, because when I'm here in the office, I'm constantly watching the market. So if you're somebody who's working a regular 9 to 5, going to work, don't have time to check the market, you can buy this stock and say, you know what, this is going to be like a long-term hold. And when I say a long-term hold, you might hold on to this for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, and not necessarily have to be like watching the market on a constant daily basis. It's not a well-known household name, so the chances that something major is going to happen where it's going to be all over media is very slim. Unlike if you buy a Starbucks or you buy a Tesla stock, those are household name stocks. So anything that happens in the news, whether it's a lawsuit or something happened, protests or whatever, those stocks typically tank. So I would buy this as a long term, like a quiet long term hold, which is maybe about a week or 2 weeks. You can hold on to this for like 2 weeks. And that's what a lot of you guys have been asking me for, not just like the stocks that are moving pretty quick. So the next stock that we're going to look at would be, we're going to go back over here and we're going to look at overview, because we don't want to necessarily trade. So we're going to look at, okay, this is restaurants. Okay. So I'm here in the US. So we have SG, right? SG. Let's take a look at this one. SG. Over here, we have SG. Are we going to add this one? Okay. So for those of you who haven't watched any of my videos before, we do the screener to get the information, and then we use TradingView to kind of like really break down and analyze the stock on the charts to see if it's something that we want to watch. Like here, I wouldn't even bother with this one. The reason for that, this one is in a downward trend. Okay, your moving averages, the red line's on top pointing down, green line's at the bottom, it's pointing down. So we're in a clear downward trend, right? So typically I would not necessarily look at that. We have an area of support here that it just broke through. But here's the thing. The reason why I'm going to actually add this one to my watch list is because I'm waiting for what they call the golden cross, where the green line is going to switch over and be on top and point up, and the red line is going to go to the bottom and point up. Right here, we can see how wide the gap is between the both of these. But as you can see, as you come here, you can see it kind of consolidating and coming closer together. And then right over here on our RSI, you can see where it broke through the 50, right? And it's now pointing up. So we're going to keep an eye on it. If this starts to stay above the 50 mark, you see it here, all along here, it was underneath. It would come up, hit the 50 mark, which is the little dotted line right here in the middle, and it will come back down, go up, hit it, come back down, go up, hit it, come back down. Now it's actually crossed it. So if this stays above the 50, this is the early warning indicator. This is the early indicator that there may be a change in direction. And then we have what they call the golden cross, where this crosses over, the green's on top and pointing up in the red lines. Then I know I can buy it, because more than likely it's going to be going into an uptrend. Now, another way I can tell if this is an early uptrend is by clicking on our 4-hour time frame. That's also an earlier warning as well. So here we can see that we were still in a downtrend, but you see how close it's come together right here. You see, now it's literally like kind of hugging each other. So on our 4-hour time chart, right, you see we have an area of resistance right here. So it's hitting this area and bouncing back down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here on our 4-hour time chart. And on that line, I'm going to set up a alert. And that alert is basically saying, that's why you're going to see the little, you see it right here, this little red icon, the alarm. It's saying, hey, once this stock hits in this area, this red line, and I want an alert to go off on my phone or on my computer and let me know that the stock is broken through, because then once it breaks through this area of resistance here, more than likely it's going to continue going up and it's not going to come back down. Now, if we look on it on a daily time frame, which is I normally trade on a daily time frame, you see that literally when we drew it on a 4-hour time frame, then we came back to the daily time frame, it literally lets us know this is that area right here. Once it closes, once tomorrow's candlestick breaks through here and closes above it, that's another clear indication that we're probably going to be in the early uptrend. That's the early phases of an uptrend, but we'll still wait on the green line to cross over and get on top of the red line and start pointing up, right? Because then we'll know that we're in a clear uptrend. So with this stock, yes, I would add this to my watch list, but this is not a stock that I would expect to like happen this to happen tomorrow. This is something I would probably say, keep an eye on over the next couple days. So we're gonna just add that one onto our watch list. Okay. And for those of you who have not watched, you guys have not used TradingView. If you're not interested in taking my course that's on Udemy, that's fine. But there's a lot of videos on YouTube that actually show you how to use TradingView. There's a free version and a paid version on that as well. And there's also a lot of videos on FinViz as well that show you how to do it. I just show you how to bring it all together. Um, Next one is going to be MGM Resorts. MGM. Let's take a look and see what's happening with that one. MGM. MGM Resorts. Now, like I said, I'm here in the U.S., so this is like a pretty well-known stock or well-known company. The name, they have the movie company, and then they also have the casinos. But let's see what's happening with this one. This one has an ATR of roughly $2, no, $1.02, right? That's the ATR on this one. And then we have this is a not necessarily a clear uptrend. Like I talk about in the course, this right here is what we would call a false golden cross. Yes, the green line is on top, is pointing up, but you see the red lines at the bottom, but it's not pointing up, right? So here you can see the stock is kind of like indecisive. But here you can see at this point, the green line is starting to point up, the red line is still at the bottom and it's starting to point up. So we could be in a start of a real true uptrend. And then but over here as well on the RSI, it's above the 50, right? And once it breaks through this area, in order for it to break through this area of resistance right here, and we're on a daily time frame right here, in order for it to break through here, this has to be clearly pointing up. The green moving average, the red line, the moving average, clearly has to be pointing up. And on our RSI, that has to be pointing up. Those two things together, or three things together, will be strong enough to break through that area of resistance. So here I can add in, okay, I can add in a line here, and boom. I can say, well, let's set up an alert. We're in an uptrend. Once it breaks through here, I can buy. And once I buy this particular stock, I can ride the wave up until it gets to roughly what price? Roughly until it gets about $40. Right now it's at $34, right? So that's a good stock to look at as well. So we can go ahead and add this one over to our watch list. Give me 1 second over here. All right. Now, okay, boom, let's add that one over to our watch list. Now, the next one that we have would be this right here, SQQ. That is an EFT. We don't touch EFTs. Next one that we have is a healthcare stock. We're not going to touch that. Consumer. All right, let's take a look at that. TAP, TAP. Let's see how that stock looks. All right, TAP, TAP. Let's see how the stock looks. Oh, right off the back, this is ugly. We're not going to buy this one. Moving average, red lines on top, pointing down, green lines at the bottom, pointing down. We're not even going to bother looking at that. Plus, what you look at our RSI, it's well below 50, and it's gone below the $30 mark, the 30 mark. So it's this is right here is just going to be a straight free fall. So there's no indication that there's going to be a turnaround anytime soon right now. So we're not even about looking at this stock. All right. So the next one is going to be another healthcare stock. Number 8 is a healthcare stock. Number 9, technology, PGY. Let's go with that one. Let's see here. PGY. PGY. Let's take a look at this one. All right. PGY. This one's already in the clear uptrend, right? Green lines on top, pointing up. Red lines at the bottom, pointing up. So we're in a clear uptrend. We're catching this one a little bit late. So this is a technology stock. Let's see here. Is this a new high, or has it been this high before? Okay, so it's not new territory. It's been higher than that before. So it still has a lot of room to grow. I would have to say, okay, let's click on the lightning here, see what's going on here. Featured highlights includes da, da, da. Yeah, okay, so there's some information coming out on this one. This one, if I wanted, I wouldn't necessarily trade it because I prefer to kind of catch it early, right around here when it breaks through that, right around here when you first have the crossover, where the green line crosses over the red line. The green line is now on top, red line's at the bottom, but it's also pointing up. And when they break through their first area of resistance, when it breaks through that first area of resistance, that's kind of like where I like to catch it. And from there, you can see it went up, came back down, and just continued going back up. It didn't come back down and below that area. So I like to kind of catch it right here in that beginning part. So because I missed that, I'm not necessarily really hyped up or excited about trying to trade this particular stock. Let's see here. Caesar Entertainment, CZR. 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 Okay, let's take a look here. CZR. What do we got? All right, CZR. On our daily time frame, we are not in the clear uptrend. We have the red lines on top, green lines at the bottom. And so therefore, we're not even bother looking at this one. Yes, we have to see it. We have the RSI, which is on top. But if we click on this little lightning section, right icon, Caesar Square submits official casino proposal. So that's why we have, and just like by reading this right here, you can see why there's a little bit of indecisiveness on what's happening with the market, because they submitted a new proposal for casino. So until that kind of goes through, if unless it's approved or something like that, it's going to be really indecisive, because if it's denied, then that stock is just going to drop. So we're not even going to bother looking at that one. All right. Next one that we have is number 11, Bath and Body Works. Wow. Like I said, I don't like to trade these stocks because with these particular stocks, they're household names. But let's just take a look at it just in case one of you guys would be interested in trying to trade it. That's BBWI. BBWI. All right. Okay. Bath and Bodies Works. So let's take a look at that stock. On our daily time frame, we have Bath and Body Works. Wouldn't even bother looking at it to trade it. Once again, red lines on top, not pointing down, pointing sideways, green lines at the bottom, pointing down. There's a lot of indecisiveness. When you see stuff like this, right, you want to stay away from them, right? And this is why I use these particular indicators. So the when you see it's supposed to go into an uptrend, and you see like these big movements here, and when it's supposed to be going down, it's actually going up. Like right now, the red line's on top and it's going up. That's a lot of indecisiveness right there. There's something happening here. So let's kind of click on that and see what's happening here. 3 reasons to sell. Look at that. That came out on June 19th, and all of this craziness started. Yeah, so there's a lot of information here. Maintain equal weight by tariffs. Okay, yeah, tariffs are really going to affect it because they do get a lot of their stuff manufactured overseas, and they do bring in a lot of products from overseas. So yeah, right now it's not a good stock to buy. Right. So that's why I'm not even bothered looking at it. Matter of fact, let's take a look here. Let's see what the analysts are saying. The analysts are saying with this particular stock, it's not a buy. It's kind of almost in a neutral area. This one's somewhat of a buy. Okay, but yeah, I wouldn't even bother with that one. It's a long shot. We're looking for almost damn near guaranteed buy opportunities. All right. So the next one we're going to look at is going to be a technology stock. Fin. Okay, 5N, FIN. We'll look at FINV. Let's look at that one right there. Almost like Finviz. All right, so this particular stock, let's take a look at it. Ooh, nice. All right, so we're catching this one as an early point. All right, so we have an area of resistance here. We're on our daily time chart. Area of resistance here. We have a golden cross that happened here. It was not really a golden cross because you see here the green line's on top, but it was going sideways. And then as soon as it started to point up and the red line's at the bottom, instead of pointing down, it started to point up. Right, you see it happened here, and then at this point it broke through our area of resistance. Let me draw that out so you guys can visually see it. So this is our area of resistance right here. All right, and boom. So once it broke through that, it's on top. And here it came down a little bit. So this may be a stock that I'm going to be interested in trading. Now, here's the thing: we're looking at on our daily time frame. What is the AT? Ooh, why is that so low? The ATR in this one is only $34, 34 cents. I don't know. Well, second here. Why is that not okay? So that might have updated. Let's take a look here. Yeah, with this low ATR right over here, it's not worth trading it. But let's take a look and see what's happening here. Let's click on this one again, and let's find out why this ATR is so low. All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. No, ATR should be 106 actually. Yep, and I have a paid account, so this is live information. It should be 106. Uh, oh, why did you guys tell me? I'm looking at the wrong stock. We should be looking at FINV. FINV. Yep, my apologies. No, FIVN. FIVN. I'm sorry. Let's take a look at that one. FIVN. FIVN. All right. Let's take a look here. FIVN. Yeah. So this is the stock that we should be looking at. Yeah. 5.9. All right, with 5.9, 5.9 wouldn't bother trading it right now myself because we do have the golden cross where the green line's on top, red line's at the bottom, but the green line's not pointing up, red line's not pointing up. Everything's kind of going sideways, so it can, and it's consolidating right here, so it can turn around and start dropping again. And on our RSI, it's kind of like right there at the 50. It's been at the 50 now for the past couple of days, and it's just going to look like it's going to drop. So we're not even going to bother looking at this one. Next one we're going to do is, yeah. By the way, that was my mistake, but you guys have to be careful about that. Whenever you're going through your stock screener, make sure you put in the correct ticker name. Here we go. We have a healthcare stock. I don't do healthcare stocks. Next one we have is consumers. Okay, so that's a LTH. 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 Let's take a look at this one over here. A Lifetime Group. Okay, let's see what's happening with this one. All right, with this one, we're not even going to bother doing that. Uh, yeah, markets all over the place. As you can see, it was in a clear uptrend, but right here it's up, down, up, down. Whenever you see this, there's something happening, and there's a lot of people who are not sure what direction the stock is going to go. So you may want to try to avoid it. This can be an indication of a clear sideways trend, but you typically want to stay away from stocks like this when you see all of this happening right here. It's got to show that it's a clear upward trend, clear downward trend. The market's got to know where it's going. Once again, if we click on this, we can see lifetime closes, $150 million sales, lease back. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff happening with this one. Next one, Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret. I'm not a fan of it, but what is that? VSCO. VSCO. Let's take a look. VSCO. I mean, I love Victoria's Secret, but it's just like I said, I don't like to trade household brand names because anything could really affect it. Victoria's Secret, as you can see, was not a clear uptrend, kind of crossing back over. So we're not even going to bother looking at that. Plus, with our RSI, it's below the 50 mark and it's been below the 50 mark for a long time. So we're not even going to bother looking at that one, all right? And just to click on that, bear of a day, Victoria's Secret. 4 days ago, Victoria's Secret has been highlighted as, okay, bullish and bear of the day. Yeah, it's a lot of things happening with Victoria's Secret. Let's take a look here. Next one we have ZETA. 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 All right, let's take a look at that one. See here. We have. Okay, let's take a look. We have a lot of stuff happening here. Okay, so here's an example. We had it's now look like it's going to be in an uptrend. It's a bear wick. You see the green line was on top, red line's at the bottom. It was pointing down, but then all of a sudden it started to point up. It broke through this area of resistance right over here, which is the nearest area of resistance, and we're looking at it on the daily time chart. So here you can see where it broke through that area of resistance, and it broke through it, came down, and now the stock is right here at about $15. So yes, if I was to, let's take a look at anything else, and it's above the RSI, is right above the 50, and it's still like it's going to stay above there. Let's see what's happening here. Any kind of major news in global, up over 13%, on track for largest percentage increase. Okay, so they've increased the target price from $20 to $25, meaning they've basically was saying, hey, we expected this price, this stock to hit $20, but they increased it to $25. Uh, and then over here we can see buy, and so this one I will go ahead and I will add this to my watch list. And let's go here. We'll add that to my watch list. I will say tomorrow morning I'm going to look at buying that stock. If I can buy this stock at around $15.49, and I can buy it at that price, I will set my stop loss right here below this area at about 14.50. Or 14, yeah, I'll set about 14.50, be willing to lose $1 for each stock that I have. But I'm pretty confident that with the direction that this is going, that this stock could possibly continue rising. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with trading, there is the pre-market, where if during the pre-market, the stock price can actually rise from the $15.49 and can go higher. So hopefully nothing like that happens, and we can buy this stock at $15.49 or cheaper, and set our stop loss right below this point. I will set it below this candlestick right over here, which is right about here, about 14.44, 14.40, and see if we could, make a good penny on this, make some good money on this one. Right, so let's go ahead and add this one over. We add it to our watch list, and then we're going to put a blue next to it. Say this is something that we want to keep an eye on. Right, and I'm going to add in a alert right about here. Sit there and say, you know what, send me an alert if it drops a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it does drop a little bit and it doesn't go up too much. All right, because from here we can actually probably ride the wave all the way up. Okay, so that's some information over there. So for those of you who are watching this and just kind of like, like, what does all that mean? It's very important. If you're new to trading, just take the course, and it'll kind of explain everything and walk you through the whole process. So far we have one stock that we know for sure tomorrow we can buy, and we have like 2 other stocks that we added to our watch list that we're going to keep an eye on for tomorrow. Next one, Pinterest. Pinterest, I kind of stay away. Oh, Pinterest, I stay away from Pinterest. It's over. For me, I think Pinterest is overpriced. Price of Pinterest is $35 a stock. There's no money coming in from Pinterest. Nobody really uses it except for just for Google searches. So I wouldn't even bother with that one. But if you guys want to take a look at it, we can. Let's take a look. PINS. Let's see if we can possibly trade it. All right, PINS. PINS, which is the Pinterest. Let's take a look with this one. Okay, so Pinterest, we're on a daily time frame. We just had a golden cross here, but it was not a true golden cross until it got to this point right up here. Because here you can see the green line was on top, pointing up, red line's at the bottom. It was pointing sideways. As soon as the green line's pointing up, red line's pointing up at the bottom. Now you can tell we're in a clear uptrend. So yeah, RSI, we're well above the 50. Like I said, Pinterest, I'm not going to necessarily buy. I wouldn't recommend you buy it. I'm not going to buy it. Not a big fan of it. What else we have here? YETI. YETI. Let's take a look. YETI. YETI. Not going to buy it. Not a clear uptrend. If it breaks above, if everything turns around like what we talked about, where RSI is above 50, pointing up, moving average, the green line's on top, pointing straight up, red line's on top, pointing up, and it breaks through this area of resistance, I would buy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in a line to show my area of resistance, and hopefully it breaks through that. If it breaks through that, I'll add an alert right over here. And once it breaks through that, hopefully in the next couple days, I would go ahead and buy. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and add that over to my watch list just to keep an eye on it. This stock moves up about $1.80, $1.08 on average every day. So if that is the case, and right now the price is $31.51. So in right over here is about $32.42. So they could get to this area by tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on it. By close of business day tomorrow, it could actually hit that area or break through it. So that's one more stock we added to our watch list. All right. So the next one that we have is going to be Copart. Copart is a car parts company. CPRT. Let's take a look at that one. CPRT. It's raining over here, so okay, that's probably why the light's flashing in and out. CPRT. Okay. CPRT. Copart. Right? Did I not put that in right? Yep, I did. System's just moving kind of slow. All right. I may end up having to call this quits a little bit early. We have a little bit of we have some rain happening over here in my area. I'm in Miami. So the internet's moving a little bit slow. Power's kind of going in and out a little bit. So let's see. So this one, we're not even going to bother touching it. So I'll go as long as, the internet allows me to. We're not even bother touching it. Red lines on top pointing straight down. That's a dead cross. Green lines at the bottom pointing straight down. And over here on the RSI, you can see that it's way below the 30, and it's really low right here. So we're not even bother touching that one with Copart. And then over here we have consumers, all right, SW. Let's take a look at that one. SW. What do we got? Okay. SW. All right. So this one, not in a position where we're going to trade it. A lot of uncertainty right here. It's going up, it's going down. It just came out of a dead cross, crossed over into a golden cross, but it didn't even stay in there for too long. As you can see, everything kind of consolidated. A lot of uncertainty. So we're just not even going to bother looking at that particular stock. Over here, we're going to go to page number 2. All right. Trump Entertainment, DJT. All right. DJT, am I going to bother buying that one? Let's take a look at it. DJT, Trump Entertainment. DJT. DJT. You know, this is not a household name stock, but with him being in office and him doing a lot of things that he's doing, people may be dumping his stock for political reasons, for whatever reason. So I wouldn't necessarily trade it, but if there was a trade opportunity, I would buy it if there was a buy opportunity. But right now, as you can see, there's a dead cross where, red lines on top is not necessarily pointing down. Green lines at the bottom is pointing down. It's somewhat in the downtrend. This is an area of support right here. So when it hits this, it could bounce up. But this is a stock that's in the media a lot, so I'm not even about touching it. IP, International Paper Company, IP. Okay, let's see how that's doing. IP. IP, International. All right. So nope, not in a position where we can buy it or do anything else like that. So yeah. So right now we have a few stocks that we want to trade. So instead of finishing through and going through this list, because you guys see how I'm doing it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at last week's stock, my watch list from last week. And we're going to kind of go through those and look at some of the other trades that I did and see if there's any opportunities to buy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at SMCI. So let's look that up. SMCI. All right, let's see what happened with last week's picks and some of the ones that I had, because I may be deleting some of them from our watch list, right? So here with our green line, with the yellow line, This is where I bought it, and right now I bought it basically at $48.40. That's why it's in yellow. And right now the price that the stock is $49.01. So here you'll see the notes that I wrote to myself, which is, you know, there's a lot of room for growth. And the reason why I put that there's a lot of room for movement, I stayed above it, is because it's still above the area of resistance here. And I can expect to ride this stock all the way up to maybe about $63. So this is a little bit more of a long-term hold stock, right? So there's lots of room to grow. And I wrote this note on the 20th on Friday, I believe. Yeah, and this is the time that I wrote this note. All right. And if you click over here, we can see it's still a buy, still a buy in the market. It's well above the 40 where they expected it to be. All right. So that stock, we're going to stay on that one. Next one is NNE. This is so the ones with the green marks that you see next to those are trades that I'm actually in. These right here with the pink are the ones that I actually sold last week and I got out of them. All right. So this one over here, you just move this up. Okay. Lots of room for growth with this. Well, I won't say lots of room. Well, this one right here, as you can see, it hit. This is a new high area. So this is the highest the stock's ever been right around here at this price point, about $47.